Welcome to AI for Lawyers.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to AI for Lawyers with attorney Samar Shah and Lawrence Liu. Through secondopinion.law, Samar and Lawrence help firms use artificial intelligence responsibly and efficiently, all without turning compliance into a chore. I'm Sean O'Connor, and today we're talking about audit trails within the context of a firm's AI policy. We got a lot to cover. And first of all, guys, welcome. Good to see you both.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us, Sean. We're excited to be here and talk about audit trails. You know, this is a topic that doesn't get nearly as much attention as it deserves. You know, the use of AI and agents is all over the news and headlines today, but audit trails are kind of really where legal compliance meets, you know, we'll talk about this, regulatory standards, insurance standards, and things like that. But I want to hand it off to Lawrence. If you want to talk about what an audit trail is, Lawrence, we can go from there.
Yeah, basically audit trail in computer software, it's about logging or recording the time of the action and the person who is doing the action and recording the data itself. And that allows us to optimize in three different dimensions. One is internal efficiency, number two is client value, and then number three is market positioning.
Can I ask a question? When a firm is evaluating AI tools, right? I mean, there's so much going on. Accuracy usually gets the most attention, right? Making sure that the output is true. Why should documentation and audit trails receive equal focus in this whole conversation?
That's a really, really good question. And there are several reasons for it. One is that I've talked about this on the last podcast episode, but you know, the latest Stanford studies and other studies have shown that AI tools, including purpose-built AI tools, will hallucinate 17 to 34% of times in tests that they ran. So it's not just about will the AI get it wrong? It's about when is it going to get it wrong, right? And are you going to be able to catch it? And that's what audit trails are all about, is being able to document a process around this. And here's the reason why I think attorneys should really tune in here, because we have at least had one insurance company, a legal malpractice insurance company, that has said, if an attorney blindly uses AI to generate their documents, then they think that's not legal work product, and therefore your malpractice insurance may not cover that. So if you don't have a great audit trail, and if you're not able to show and document that, hey, we have a process, there is actual legal work that's been done, we didn't just blindly rely on AI to substitute our judgment, you could be in a lot of trouble, because one, you may get sanctioned by the court, and two, your insurance may not cover it. Big problem.
Wow. Yeah. Liability, huge issue there. So building on that, I mean, just from a practical standpoint, what information should, a really good AI audit trail capture? You know, what parts of the workflow?
I would say we capture everything, right? Because for you to go back and track it and then learn about it, you need to capture everything. And especially today when, like Samar say, we get hallucination a lot. So in order to prevent that in the future, changing our input, changing different LLM, and work on who's doing the work by logging it, that's the only way we can find out how to fix the problems and optimize it.
I would second that. You know, I think it should be capturing kind of the input layer. What did you put in? It should be capturing the processing layer. What did the AI process? It should be processing the output layer. What did it output? And then it should be, you know, capturing the contextual layer, if you will, right? Like what is the purpose or the use case or the risk tier? And I hate to kind of go back to our tool, secondopinion.law, that we built, that Lawrence has architected, but that's exactly what we capture. It's not just like a history of what was done, but what is captured at all of these layers, which is really what you need to defend yourself in case something terrible happens. And the critical insight here is that we're capturing the decisions that attorneys made relative to the flags that the AI generated as the draft gets passed around from a junior attorney to a mid-level to senior, from senior to opposing counsel, and opposing counsel to client. You've got to preserve context across all of these interactions. That's really the only way to have a successful defense if something goes terribly wrong. But it's also really the only way for a firm, as an institution, not just as an individual lawyer, to institutionally preserve context and figure out what is our risk and compliance across all these different things. So, that's how we've architected our tool, which I really don't think anybody in the industry is offering today.
It sounds robust for sure. I'm curious, and this, I think you kind of touched on it, but when you're talking about the documentation and sort of responsibility, I'm thinking about like the partner's duty to supervise work that involves the AI generated analysis. Is that part of that sort of automatically part of the process, or is there something partners especially need to be more aware of?
100%. There have been several cases where not only the attorney who cited the signatory attorney who cited hallucinated case got reprimanded and sanctioned, but their supervising attorneys got reprimanded and sanctioned. And in few cases, the managing partner of the firm got sanctioned as well, because they didn't generate an institutional policy around audit trails. So, if you are a managing partner at a firm, or if you are the CEO, CTO, you could be in line to get sanctions if you haven't created good institutional policy around this stuff. So definitely something you should be looking at, because that liability can extend all the way up the chain.
It's interesting, just, given the relative new, status of AI, and this idea of a firm having a policy in place, sort of just being able to demonstrate proactively that they have a policy in place seems to be a big issue, or not a big issue, but like something that you want to make sure you're doing just as a management practice. And, maintaining an audit trail, how does that reduce malpractice exposure over time? Is that like an obvious thing, or is there a cumulative effect?
Yeah, I would say not only capturing the audit trail, basically that's what we consider as logs. Not only doing that, but we process it using AI agents in the background. So we'll process it every day or every hour or whenever you can configure it to it. By doing that, it allows us to gather information from various time, from various partners, and doing the typical hard work relating to anomaly detection and pattern matching. And these are algorithms that we use, so that allow us to have the company doing actively, preventing bad things can happen, reducing risk.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer. I mean, you should be doing all of those things to be reducing malpractice insurance. The one thing I will add is that, we talked about this on one of the previous episodes about firms evaluating AI tools. And I think the other piece of this puzzle is that without an audit trail, it's impossible to evaluate an AI tool in an institutional manner, right, as a whole, because there are benefits to AI. I mean, those are well documented, and everybody knows it increases efficiency. Statistics say that the firms that use AI are 2 times more likely to grow and see revenue growth, and 3.5 times more likely to hire more people, things like that. So we know there are benefits to this, but there are downsides as well. Hallucination is just one, but is it actually making your attorneys more efficient? Or is it just shifting the review burden, right, from a junior attorney who will painstakingly check out each case manually, make sure it's supported? Is that burden just shifting to the senior attorney now? And therefore, is it making the senior attorney less productive? You've got to have an audit trail system that checks and reveals patterns to you over time about how you are processing legal documents as a team. And without that, it's really hard to evaluate an AI tool as well.
Yeah, it's such a, I mean, we're talking about systems approaches and how this, this new tech is, I mean, I don't know what the analogy is from, 20 years ago, but where, as a firm have to figure out how to implement it, what's working, what's not working. Is it, are you getting the efficiencies you need? I mean, that's what I hear in your comments, Summer. You know, it's inevitable, or it's already happening, right? AI is embedded in all the processes, research, drafting, review. What baseline documentation standards should firms treat as, non-negotiable? I mean, this might be, okay, you're starting to implement a process. What's non-negotiable in your mind?
Yeah, to me, I'll answer it from a lawyer's perspective, and I'm curious to see what Lawrence has to say. But from my perspective, and again, I hate to go back to our tool, secondopinion.law. I like this kind of red light, green light, orange light approach. So we have this implemented in our tool where we say, hey, these are the critical things. These are the highest risks. Somebody needs to look at this, right? Make sure an attorney, a senior attorney, just reviews this, and even if they don't make any changes, there are human eyes, legal expert eyes going on it. And then we have an orange light system that says, hey, these could be potential problems. Somebody needs to look at it. And then we have like a green light or a yellow light that, hey, these are kind of low level risks here that we flagged or identified. Check it out, but they're not going to, potentially make or break things. So that kind of, to me, a visual system is super helpful because I am usually in the red light zone, right, as a senior attorney on cases, and then I can delegate the other stuff to my mid-level or junior associate. So that's really helpful.
Lawrence, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think for us or for me, I think human in the loop is important, and human awareness. So we need everyone who using AI tools to be aware that everything will be recorded and everything will be logged, so they don't, make mistakes or doing something not smart. That's one. And then the other one is human in the loop. By having that, we understand that AI will make decision in the background and analyzing the audit trails or the logs, but also we need somebody to look at it, because it doesn't matter how much data you gather, how much data you process, unless somebody look at it and make improvement, it's not going to matter. So that's why I think human in the loop and human awareness is so important.
That's great. That's great. Thanks, Lawrence. Well, listen, we're coming up on time. I know we'll be picking up some additional questions and answers in future episodes on this. The topic of AI is both fascinating and becoming ubiquitous, and also, as you mentioned, Samar, from a liability point of view, attorneys, partners, everyone has to have their eyes on this. So I look forward to future conversations. That's all the time we've got. Thanks for tuning in. And this has been AI for Lawyers. If you want to explore practical tools for documenting and supervising AI use in your firm, visit www.secondopinion.law. Thanks for listening. I'm Sean O'Connor. Samar, Lawrence, thanks for being here.
Bye.
Thank you.
And if you like this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe to the show, and share this episode with someone who you think would enjoy it. Have a great day.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.